Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, June 23rd edition of the MMA OB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my buddy here, Cole Shelton, the co-host of the MMA OB Daily Podcast, to break down UFC on ESPN 12, Poirier versus Hooker, as well as recap UFC on ESPN 11, Blaydes versus Volkov. Cole, what's going on, man?
Not much. What about you?
I'm good, dude, for sure. Looking forward to this card and looking forward to moving on from the last one. Let's just jump right into it, Cole, as we usually do. Wow, that was rough. It's one of those that's the thing that makes the sport great. It's always unpredictable. You never know what's really going to happen. Saturday was another example of that. It reminded me of the Glover versus Smith card a few weeks ago, Cole, where we got slaughtered as well on our picks. Like a rough night. I didn't see anyone have a good night. I think everyone had a bad night because there was a lot of upsets, a lot of fights you didn't see coming, like the outcomes coming, happen. Just a crazy night of fights. Definitely not happy about my picks. It is what it is. I gave the best read of the fights I could, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I kept thinking, man, I'm not going to get a pick right tonight. It was one of those nights, Cole, So I know you also kind of had a rough night. Like if you go to the MMA Oddsbreaker, like the staff picks, Cole, I think there was like one guy who had a better than 500 record. So, I think universally this was just a tough card. Like I saw a lot of people lost some money on this card.
Yeah, and it's the thing where even if I could repick my picks, I don't think I'd change them. Like I thought I was picking the right people. It was just like where I think if they fight again, like maybe it would be a totally different outcome. Maybe I'd have a way better night. It was just like so many close matchups where it was such a toss. It was really like a coin flip who's going to win this one.
Oh, 100%. Like there's, I guess, a few that I wish I could have back, but generally, I've been sticking with my reads, man. Like overall, this year's gone pretty well. Like I think I was second in the staff picks heading into this night behind Kyle, who's a professional gambler. I'm not a professional gambler, Cole, so I'm an analyst, but it was just one of those nights. But again, Cole, this is what makes the sport great when we have nights like this, because if we knew what was going to happen going to every fight, Cole, if we knew the betting favor was going to win, why would we want to watch, right? So it's nice actually in a way when these upsets happen, even though it hurts your own ego because you're like, man, I thought I could handicap these fights properly, and then it doesn't go that way. It's still what makes the sport great, Cole. I don't know what you think about that, but that's what I think.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with all that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get a comment here from Damon Blackburn. What's up, guys? What's going on, Damon? Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone else who's watching. And if you're watching a replay, no worries there. Like I said, we'll start with UFC on ESPN 11, break it down, and then we'll get to UFC on ESPN 12. And Damon says I'm the only one here who can get a shout out. Yeah, it's still pretty early for sure. I just posted it anyway, so hopefully some people jump in before the preview starts. But like I said, let's start with the recap for UFC on ESPN 11, Blaydes Volkov. I'll start with the main event, Cole. I'll work our way down as usual. Curtis Blaydes wins unanimous decision here, 49-46, 48-47, 48-46. I feel like those last two scorecards were a little generous, but I think you could give Volkov the fourth and fifth rounds. But I think I just gave him the fourth. I can't remember which one. It was either the fourth or fifth.
Yeah, I only gave him one round. I forget which round.
Me too. I think maybe it was the fourth round, even though in the fifth round, I think he landed that kick. But either way, Cole, a very dominant performance by Curtis Blaydes, especially through the first three rounds. Dana White criticized his performance afterwards. I was a little surprised by that. Personally, like obviously they want stand-up fights, right? We get that. The UFC prefers stand-up fights. They prefer guys who war. But I think what Curtis Blaydes did, setting the heavyweight takedown record with 14 takedowns, is really impressive. Like, was it his best performance? No. He didn't get the finish. He did gas out a little bit in the last couple of rounds. Like, the fact he went 5 rounds, he's like 285 pounds and cuts down to 265. Like, he's a beast, man. So Curtis Blaydes, to me, was actually quite impressive in his performance. Dana White didn't like it, but Cole, what do you think? I was impressed.
Yeah, I was really impressed. And I don't think he was talking that much shit what Dana White was saying. All he sent out was one tweet basically saying, if you're expecting a stand-up fight, like, it's not going to happen. We're just going to take him down. And that's exactly what he did. It was his first takedown was like 6 seconds into the fight. Yeah. Like, he wasn't going to stand with the Volkov. He was going to lose if he just stood with Volkov. Like, that was his easiest path to victory. That's kind of what everyone expected. He wasn't, like, I don't think he was talking about shit. I just think Dana was mad that basically he was saying fighters could be paid more, and Dana White obviously doesn't like that.
For sure it had something to do with fighter pay. Like, he actually was interviewed by Brian Okamoto and said as much. Basically said, like, if you're going to talk all this smack and then, talk about fighter pay, like, you better have a better performance. But to me, like, again, 14 takedowns, that's pretty impressive. So not the most fun fight to watch, but I think an important fight in the heavyweight division. Right now, Curtis Blaydes, Cole, is the clear number 4. Like, the top 4 of this division is so clear. It's obviously Stipe at number 1, or champion, I guess, and then you have DC, right there, Nagano and then Blaydes. But Blaydes obviously right now is in a tough spot in the division. Who does he fight next, right? Because he could wait and see what happens. Like Nagano could get hurt. You never know. Stipe or DC can get hurt. Somehow Curtis Blaydes could slide in there. But I think the smart money is on him actually taking another fight. I just don't know who he'd fight right now because for some reason they booked the Derek Lewis-Olenek fight before this card. I think they should have waited a week. You probably could have had Blaydes and Lewis in there in August, Cole, to set up like the next guy after Nagano. So to me, I don't know. I feel like they should have waited on that matchup personally, but either way, I think, Blaydes probably should take another fight in the interim, Cole. But again, it's just hard to say who's going to fight because you look at the rankings, and I'm going to look at them right now. And again, the rankings suck. The rankings are garbage. And I have John talking about the rankings. And I'm going to get to you in the next fight, John. And good morning, by the way, John, or good afternoon, I guess, to you. As far as the heavyweight ranks go, Cole, again, you look at who's available. There really is no one available. Actually, the only guy available right now is Augustus Sakai at number 10 and Walt Harris at number 9. Harris fight doesn't make sense. Harris coming off a knockout loss to Overeem. But I guess he could fight Sakai. You could do that fight. I'm not saying that's, it's obviously a huge step down. I think Curtis deserves a better guy, but there's literally no one else, Cole.
I just think he waits. Just wait to see what happens with Lewis Olenek. Wait to see what happens with Cormier Miocic and Dos Santos Rosenstruck. If Rosenstruck wins, he could easily fight Rosenstruck. He could fight Lewis. Like, he's not in a position where he has to turn around like in 2 months in August or September. Like, he can wait until next year and see how this plays out.
No, you're right about that. John says 11 p.m. here. Damn, I was so raw about that. You guys like what? Oh my God, 11 hours ahead, 13 hours ahead. Jeez. Okay, so I agree with everything you said. Well, let's get to the co-main event because this is the fight that everyone's talking about. An amazing fight here between Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos. Wow, what a fight, man! Like, definitely one of the best fights of the year. Holy crap, these guys just beat the shit out of each other. I mean, this was fun to watch, man, for sure. Two fantastic fighters. Nice pick there, Cole, with Emmett. That's all a lot of people want Emmett, obviously, as a dog. I thought Burgos with the volume was going to beat him, and the fight was close. The first 2 rounds, Cole, were close. Third round, definitely Josh Emmett. You could give it a 10-8 to Josh Emmett. I thought Josh Emmett won the fight. I thought he did more damage. I thought that he landed the bigger shots. And to me, that's why I would give him the decision. I did see some smart people I respect giving it to Shane Burgos. I just don't think that's the right call. I think the judges got it right. Cole, one of the best fights of the year. And what do you think about the performance of both guys?
Yeah, it was really good. Like, I was expecting Emmett to knock out Burgos. I just think Burgos, the way he fights, he gets hit a lot, and he always has his hands down quite often, where I thought you can't do that against Emmett, where Emmett only need one. But I was super impressed with Shane Burgos' chin. He took some shots that if you saw Michael Johnson and Miroslav Bektic, they went out cold by those shots, and Burgos just kept on going forward. Yeah. It was definitely an incredible fight. I don't think Burgos loses any stock or any hype with that performance. Like, even though he lost, I still think people are still really high on him. He had a great performance. Came close to beating Josh Emmett. Like, those two are still like 2 of the top 10 best featherweights in the world.
Oh, no doubt about it. Very impressive. I mean, great fight. Like I said, I think Emmett deserved it. Now, the question about the rankings, like, this is definitely something that's interesting. This division's so stacked right now. Like, they really got – I kind of hate that they're doing Volkanovski Holloway too, Cole, because I'd rather them like actually get through these contenders because you got Zabit, you got Yair, you have Cater, you have Emmett now, you have Jung. So you have a bunch of guys that are waiting. You even have Ortega because the fight with Volkanovski fresh. So there's a lot of different fights they can do for the belt. They chose to do the Holloway rematch. So the division's getting held up a little bit right now, Cole. It is what it is. I think Holloway, definitely deserves that respect for a rematch, but I personally wouldn't have did that fight. Either way, yeah, I mean, this was impressive as hell, but Josh Emmett took a lot of damage in this fight. He listed all the injuries last night, Cole. I think he's got severe knee injury. He's only out for a minute, and he'll probably be out for I'd say it's 6 to 12 months, possibly, like based on the damage he took. So I don't even think you have to think about what matchups next for him. Whenever he's ready to come back, he'll have a really big name fight. I think he'll have a top 5 opponent. And as far as Burgos goes, I mean, again, great chin. It was a good fight, but he did lose the fight, so he's got some work to do. You're right, Cole. Keeps those hands down a little bit too low, and you can't do that against Josh Emmett, man. I mean, seriously, pound for pound, he might be one of the hardest punchers in MMA. He might be the hardest puncher in MMA, possibly. He didn't get Burgos out of there, though, so, I mean, there's probably someone else, like, Cejudo is definitely up there as well. He's retired now, but, yeah, I think Josh Emmett, great performance. He moves to 7-2 now in the UFC, so definitely up there for a big fight. Now, I want to get to John's question. Emmett ranked number 8 after beating Burgos with a blown knee. What the hell? Ranking solution, yeah.
I don't think the rankings have been updated because they only update today.
Okay, so I think Jedi Goodman posted them last night. I saw him post them. I think that Burgos went up. Let me check right now. I saw Jedi Goodman post them last night.
Well, I know certain websites update a lot earlier, like the friggin' Canada US one takes forever to update.
Right. That's possibly what he did. Okay, let's take a look here. Featherweight. Okay. So yeah, he got no, it's actually the same. The only thing with difference is Shane Burgos moved down 4 spots to number 14. He's tied with Sodiq Yusuff for 14. Josh Emmett did not go up. Frankie Edgar is still ranked.
Which is so stupid.
So stupid. The rankings are fucking dog shit. They're terrible. And the thing that pisses me off about them is, the UFC uses them, Cole, to justify the matchups they want when they like them. But when they don't like the matchup, they'll justify them by saying the rankings don't matter. Like the Jose Aldo thing. Like, why is he fighting for the belt, right? But Dana White can justify it somehow. So as far as the rankings go, they suck. Now, the thing that really pisses me off, and I saw this morning, I was never aware this was the case. Eric Colwell from My MMA News, which I think you also work for, Cole. He posted a screen cap of basically the UFC rankings producer. I don't know who it is. Someone that works for the UFC gave them like some sort of instructions on how to vote. Basically, I had no idea they did this. I did think the voters were kind of independent, but apparently they get this thing saying like, well, this is how you guys should vote, and they're basically saying that Shane Burgos should actually be dropped from the rankings because they think Bryce Mitchell should take his spot in the rankings. Cole, this is an absolute joke. I'm actually pretty pissed off because this affects guys' careers. It affects their contracts. That's why I was never interested in this. I got to get your thoughts on it, because I'm going to go crazy here thinking about it.
Yeah, you should definitely check out his tweet because I never knew they did this either. And it basically was saying if Emmett would have lost, he should have been removed from the rankings too, because his last one was Mirsad Bektik, and they think Mitchell's better than Bektik. And his only ranked guy he's fought is Stevens, and he lost. It's like, are you serious? Like, he was ranked 8, and you think a loss to what was Burgos, 10 or 12, something like that, should get him removed from the rankings? And it basically says if Emmett wins, he should be no higher than 7. If Burgos wins, he should be no higher than 7. If Burgos loses, he should be off the ranking. Like, it basically says you cannot put these guys any higher than this number, which is so stupid.
What the hell is this? I didn't even know they sent it. Okay, first off, like I said, the rankings suck. And to me, you just shouldn't do it if you're media, because like you're getting involved too much with the fighters' careers and the matchmaking and the contracts. The UFC uses these rankings to justify the money they give to the fighters. I would never want to even be part of that, So to me, it's like, I think these guys should all resign from this. I didn't even know they did this. You know what I mean? So to me, why not the UFC just actually release their own rankings? Like Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, and Dana White, and Hunter Campbell, all these guys, they have rankings. They have a war room with that whiteboard, Cole. They have the UFC rankings. They're like the actual rankings that we have, but they have their own rankings, the real rankings. And I think that's what we should see. We shouldn't see this media thing, especially when it's partly being dictated by the UFC itself. So pretty crazy there. So, I can go on and on about this, but either way, a great fight. I'm upset about the rankings this morning, guys. I really am. Like, I didn't even know this was out there. I had no idea that they were actually encouraging people how to vote. And seriously, why the fuck would Bryce Mitchell take Shane Burgos' spot in the top 15? Like, I'm so angry about this, Cole. Seriously, man. Any thoughts, Cole?
No, you got it all. Like, it's just so stupid.
Yeah, I went crazy there. Okay, turn it up and make. Cole and Adam, what's up, guys? I'm fired up this morning, man. Fired up. You guys always go live when I have conference meetings. That's good, right? Even Blackburn. You ever seen 8 underdogs win on one card? I have. There's a few cards. One was Volkov versus Verdun. That had a lot of upsets.
All those European cards are so hard to.
There's also this card that was like 5 years ago, I think. Now, Bigfoot versus Mir in Brazil. There was like 10 upsets on I think it had the most upsets. Like, it was a crazy card. John Coe, was it confusing Burgos' corner didn't instruct to tackling? Where I think so, because that's where he was doing a lot of damage, and obviously we know now how bad Emmett actually was hurt from Burgos. So, but I don't know, man. I don't know if it would have changed. Like, I just think he took too much damage, like with the punches, and that's ultimately what did him in here. David Blackburn, you can't argue with Max getting a rematch. If anyone's deserving, it's him. I agree. It's like DC getting the rematch or Stipe getting it the first time. Like, you get that respect, but to me, it's like there's so many other guys in this division. John says, I love a pissed on. Dude, I appreciate that. I'm just so angry with these rankings. Like, seriously, why would Bryce Mitchell take – Cool, it's just hilarious. By the way, Shane Burgos, guys, dropped, again, down to 14. So right now he's below Sodiq Yusuff. I think those guys are on the same level. He's below Jose Aldo, which – why is he in 2 different rankings right now? He's below Arnold Allen, which blows my mind.
I think Yusuff and Burgos should be ahead of Allen.
And he's below Ryan Hall. Are you kidding me? Shane Burgos is, to me, a top 10 guy. I would have him ranked above Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens is so overranked. Number 9? Why? He did beat Emmett. Like, don't get me wrong. I know he has that win, but it's from like 2.5 years ago. There's no way. Look at Jeremy Stevens' record, Cole. He doesn't even win fights anymore. He should not be up. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He shouldn't be that high. So to me, Burgos is actually number 10. Maybe you could have Ige ranked above Burgos. It's also ridiculous, by the way. Edson Barboza is not in the rankings either because judges kind of hurt him there. He's not even in the rankings. Let's move on because I don't want to talk about this fight anymore, and I don't want to talk about the rankings. They're making me so angry, They should take the fans' polls opinion, the higher consideration of matchmaking. The UFC typically actually does, I would say, listen to the fans more than like others, like maybe boxing does. But yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, I just want to see the real rankings. I like to see what Sean Shelby and Nick Maynard actually have. I don't really care what some media members that are being instructed by the UFC rank their guys. It's stupid. Okay, cool. Next fight, Pennington and Renault. I mean, we know what's going to happen. This one actually was probably the easiest fight in the whole card to call when I think about it. Pennington.
Yeah, this one in the main event, like those. If you had asked me 2 confident fights, it would be those 2 that I would have picked. Like,
yeah,
this one I didn't see a single way Renault was going to win.
Yeah, Pennington wins the decision. Kind of, I don't know, just an uneventful fight. Next fight was really good. Bilal Muhammad defeats Lyman Good via unanimous decision. I did score for Bilal. Close fight. Some people had for Good. I'm assuming you had for Muhammad, Cole, or
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just think the wrestling was the difference and kind of what I thought was going to happen. But a good fight, and I think possibly the fight of the night up until the Emmett Burgos fight, Cole, at that point. And then opening up the main card, man, another great performance here by Jim Miller, who John actually did pick last week. That was a nice pick there as a dog. I even said he had a chance, but I didn't expect him to actually pull it off. I got to be honest. What an impressive performance. I mean, this guy just submits everyone now. So he either gets to me or he submits on him. But seriously, like Jim Miller, man, this guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, guys. He really is.
Yeah.
Not a champion, Cole. Doesn't matter. Most fights, 35 fights, he's still winning fights like this over young prospects. Again, Roosevelt Roberts, man, kind of overrated. Beat a couple guys that were unranked, Brock Weaver, but also lost to Vince Pichel, who's an unranked fighter, Cole. And to me, that Pichel fight was like, don't be too confident about this guy. So I wasn't shocked, but the way Miller pulled it off, I mean, that was impressive, Cole.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Miller is no doubt a Hall of Famer. Like, he's most UFC fights. He told me he wants to get to 40. I think he can easily get to 40. That's 5 more fights. He seems like he's in really good shape right now. Like, the Lyme disease isn't a problem for him anymore. And he says, like, ever since he's been fresh, like, he feels as best as he has in years. So I think he can get to 40 fights. He's obviously, I don't think he's ever going to be in contention for a title anymore, but he should just have these fun fights. Like, fight some of these veterans, like that Guida matchup. Like, that's what Miller should be doing. Like, I just think that's where you have to put him, but he's always exciting to watch. Like, whenever he's on a card, I just love watching him fight.
He's just the perfect guy to like open up a main card against a prospect because he's a gatekeeper. That's his basically position right now in the company. But and actually, I had the point later on in the podcast. We'll just talk about now, Cole. But Miller did an interview with Kinch at BJ Penn Radio, Cole. He said he was interested potentially moving up to 170, take some fun fights, or even 185. I'm assuming he's joking about 185, but I think 170, that's a good move for him because yes, he could beat a lot of guys at lightweight, but why not take some fun fights at 170? I think there's guys he could beat there, not maybe not the top 15, but there's some fun fights for him, Cole. Like, like even Bilal Muhammad, that'd be a fun fight at 170. Bilal probably deserves a ranked guy at this point. I think he does, but that's the kind of fight I think could happen. But either way, Miller, man, you got to give up to the guy. Seriously, like to battle back from Lyme disease and come on strong this later in his career, it's very impressive. Although getting Peter Young is a joke, I agree with that. Nice pick with Jim Miller, big and Roberts. A lot of people were like just parlaying Roberts and Blake.
Yeah,
that was like the main.
I saw a lot of people doing Roberts inside the distance too.
Yeah, fight ends inside the distance definitely had a good chance because both guys were kind of susceptible. Oh, especially Jim Miller, he's been submitted a lot. Okay, so let's get to the prelims here. We'll go through them kind of quick. There's obviously one fight at the end I want to really talk about here, Nicole. But Bobby Green defeats Clay Guida. I did score for Bobby. What'd you think?
Yeah, I had it for Bobby as well.
It was competitive, though. I mean, for sure, the takedowns. I think for me, like the third round, it came down to the third round, Cole, and the third round was super competitive. And the end where Green stuffed the takedown and started hammer fisting Guida in the face right at the very end, the last 10 seconds, that sealed it, I think, for the judges. So I did pick Clay Guida. Obviously, it didn't go right, but I still feel like the odds were, considering how close the fight was. But a good fight for Bobby Green. Now James Vick's calling him out. I mean, I guess I think Green knocks James Vick out personally. What do you think, Cole?
Yeah, I'm surprised James Vick is still in the UFC, to be honest. I haven't heard anything about him. I thought he might have been cut, but maybe he's not. Maybe they're giving one more, but I think Bobby Green will probably beat him.
Damon, I had Bobby Guidas to look decent. Yeah, he looked okay. I mean, his wrestling is always on point. Tisha Torres looked great. This is one I wanted back because honestly, I was leaning this way and I just went with Van Buren. I don't know why. Just, I guess the recent hot streak. But yeah, Torres looked good. I mean, the experience advantage in her favor definitely played a factor. Her striking was just much better. So I thought she looked really good. Cole. Marc-Andre Barrios looked really good, knocking out Oscar Machota. There's no way Machota's going back to the UFC after this. 4 straight losses by stoppage. 2-4 overall in the UFC. Barrios 1-3, but that was the last fight in his deal. I think they'll give him another contract. Who was he calling out, Cole? I saw some call out. Geez, I can't. I should remember this, guys. I apologize. Marc-Andre Barrios. He called someone out.
Yeah, but they'll keep him around just because they need more Canadians in the UFC. Just when fans are allowed back in. When they go to Canada, like they only have like him, Julian Robertson, John McDessie. Like they only have like probably 5 Canadians.
It's messed up. Like when I was getting this sport goal, it was like 10 years ago when we were getting legalized here in Ontario and stuff. Like, and there was so much promise, and now there's like no Canadians. It's pretty nuts. But yeah, Barrios, I mean, he's actually not bad. The 3 losses, he lost close decisions, Cole. So to me, he's a guy that's actually, he's kind of a gatekeeper, I think, at this point, but can put on some fun fights. Okay, this was impressive. I mean, I didn't expect this fight to happen this way. Julian Robertson defeats Courtney Casey, submission, 3rd round. Gets the finish, man. I think she's got the most submissions now in that division, so that's pretty impressive. Courtney Casey, I don't know, like the takedown defense was really not there at all. So got taken down at will. Robertson, strong top game in this fight. She looked great. I still think she's got a lot of holes in her game personally, like especially in that stand-up. And obviously on the ground too. We saw what happened with Macy Barber finisher. But yeah, I mean, she looked good in this fight, Cole, and Casey loses, but definitely a good performance here, right? Julian Robertson. Any thoughts on those last couple of fights?
Yeah, it was just Julian Robertson looked really good. She's 25. She's a good prospect to fly. She has tied for the most wins in the division, which is kind of interesting. She's tied with Shevchenko and Chukagian. She has a lot of work to do, but her ground game is like she can submit a lot of people. Yeah,
she has right now 12 career fights, and 11 of them have ended inside the distance. So compared to most female fighters, she actually either gets finished or finishes her fights at a higher rate. Next up, I mean, geez, I didn't expect this to happen. Justin James goes out there and just absolutely flatlines Frank Camacho in 41 seconds, Cole. I mean, this was definitely impressive. Well deserving, I think, of that $50K bonus. Wasn't expecting this from the Justin James. And then Lauren Murphy defeats Roxanne Modafferi via unanimous decision. She's now calling for number 1 contender fight against Cynthia Calvillo. Thoughts on those last 2 fights?
Yeah, I didn't expect that from James. Camacho, like, he is successful to knock out, but I was picking for Vola. I thought Vola would have beat him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know much about James, but he had the right strategy where he's basically like taking this on short notice. I probably won't be able to go 3 hard rounds. Might as well just try to get him out early. That's exactly what he did. He landed some. Camacho just wasn't ready for a brawl, which he really should have been. He really should have thought this guy has nothing to lose. He's going to come out swinging. And then Lauren Murphy looked good. I think a fight against Calvillo makes a lot of sense just because I see people saying Chukagian, but just with Murphy, if you do Murphy Calvillo, whoever wins is a fresh contender for Shevchenko. Yeah. Where if you do like Murphy Chukagian or Calvillo Chukagian, you're kind of in a weird spot where if Chukagian wins, you're not going to do Chukagian Shevchenko too. Yeah,
I agree with everything there. Got a comment here from John. Leaving ATT and focusing with Dean Thomas would be great for Robertson. Still growing decent prospect for sure. I mean, she, like I said, she has got holes in her game. Her stand-up needs work, and she can get finished on the ground too, but a lot of potential, man, especially with that submission prowess. So, I take back what I said about her last week. I think it was a little bit, obviously I was wrong about my breakdown of this fight. I thought Courtney Casey was going to win. I also want to say that the size difference was pretty apparent here too. Casey's actually like size-wise, she's not bad, but the strength, I think I should say strength. It's clear that Robertson was much stronger. Damon said Torres looked amazing. He said he was on Van Buren. Everyone was, man. So it wasn't just you. But yeah, I had thought Torres could win. I should have really went with her on the podcast last week. It is what it is. Damon says if Casey could have kept standing or tried to get up, she would have had a much better chance. Yeah, for sure. No takedown defense whatsoever, Cole. Like, just got on her back at will. And off the back, she did hit the rim with that arm bar. I thought she was going to get it for a sec, but Robertson's actually the one who gets the finish. Okay. Now, and as far as Murphy goes, yeah, I mean, that division, wow. The fact that Lauren Murphy is like a top 3 fighter in that division right now is just like, wow. All right, next up, and the last fight in this card before we get into UFC and ESPN 12. In this fight, we're definitely going to talk about this for a minute here or something. Give me your thoughts on this one, guys. Throw them in the chat because I want to hear what everyone has to say about this. So we had Max Rohskopf make his UFC debut on 5 days' notice against Austin Hubbard. First round was definitely competitive. I actually did score for Max. I thought he won.
Me too.
Yeah, I was surprised when all the three judges actually scored it for Hubbard. I'm not saying that it was wrong; it was a close round, but Rohskopf had, I think he had 1 or 2 takedowns, and then he also had some, advances on the ground as well. Hubbard did get it back up, and did some damage, but first round was very competitive. Second round, you started to see Rohskopf really gassed, really tire out. There's a lot to talk about this fight, Cole, but basically what happened was he just gassed out, and Hubbard started really teeing off on him. It was a 10-8 round according to the judges. I think 10-8 or 10-9 is okay there. 10-8 does make sense. I'm okay with that. But anyways, between the round, this is where all the controversy happened, and I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but I definitely got a lot of thoughts on this one, guys. So basically what happened was they went to the corner. I'm watching it here on my computer, Cole, and the guy's like, call it. I'm like, wait, is this guy quitting? Like, Max Rohskopf became the first fighter, I think it was 6 years ago, apparently, according to Sherdog's Jay Petrie. It was Gerard Sanders or Udanis Cedeno or something like that. One of those guys. He had like a knee injury, though. Chris Lieben was the other guy I was thinking about, and also Nate Marquardt. There was a corner stopper there. But anyways, Rohskopf became the first guy in like 6 years to actually retire in the stool. So it's a very rare thing to happen. He said to Robert Drysdale's lead cornerman 9 times on video, I'm done, call it, I'm done, call it. Robert Drysdale tried to encourage him to continue the fight. When the minute was over between rounds, the fighter Max Rohskopf told the inspector, commission official, don't know exactly who that guy was, by the way, but he just said, call it. And then the guy said, what is he saying? And then Robert Drysdale said he's calling it. So the fight was stopped at that point. And then they announced on the advice of the doctor, which I thought was kind of bizarre. But it was definitely a TKO retirement, in my opinion. Now, there's a lot to talk about this. So much to unpack from this, Cole. Seriously. We've seen all weekend people giving their takes on it. I want to give my take, obviously. I know Cole does too. I don't think Cole's going to be as fired up about this one as me, but I'll definitely be fired up, Cole, once again. So, all right. I think this dude quit. I mean, to me, that's a really, poor attribute to have as a fighter. The guy definitely quit. I don't think Robert Drysdale did anything wrong. I think he did his best job as a coach. He tried to encourage and motivate his fighter to continue. I agree with Robert Drysdale. I don't think this guy was hurt. I think he was exhausted and he mentally broke. I don't think physically he was hurt that bad. He did take some blows, obviously, in the second round, but I don't think he was hurt that bad. He didn't get dropped. It wasn't a prolonged beating like Smith or Glove or something like that. To me, Robert Drysdale didn't do anything wrong, and I don't understand all the criticism because the fight did not enter the third round. The fight stopped after the second round, and Drysdale was one of the people saying, he's calling the fight. So I think he did his job, man. He had that 1 minute to talk about it and tried to convince this guy to go on. The fighter didn't want to go on. That's his prerogative. He has to face the repercussions now. That might include not being in the UFC anymore after this. So to me, there's a lot to talk about here, Cole, but I just want to get your thoughts on the situation. Basically, the Cole's notes of my version is I think Max Rohskopf quit, and I think that Robert Drysdale didn't do anything wrong. I just want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I'm totally different. I think Robert Drysdale's totally in blame. If your fighter says 9 times to call the fight and you don't call it, you're there to protect your fighter. There was no way Max Rohskopf was going to win. You could say he quit. He was getting beat down. He had no energy, and he said 9 times. It wasn't until the commission overheard Rohskopf say call it that he told the ref. Because only in Nevada the ref can stop the fight, which I never knew about until.
Well, I mean, the guy could tap out though, Cole.
Yeah.
8 times. So Rohskopf could have tapped out.
But he did. He told the commission he's done. So like if your fighter tells your coach 9 times that I'm done, I'm not fighting. Like, why does it take that long? And I think if he gets released from the UFC, it sets a bad precedent because he took this fight on short notice. If there's going to be so many fighters now that won't want to take any fights on short notice because if they lose, there's a risk they get cut. So I think they have to give him 1 more. If he loses that, fine, you can cut him after 2 fights. But I think his corner kind of failed him by not stopping it and letting him be the one to call where it looks like he quit. Now he's getting all the blame.
Yeah, but the guy did quit, and the coach didn't want him to quit. He wanted him to keep fighting. I'm 100% with Robert Drysdale on this one. I mean, again, this is actually good. We're at odds here, Cole. I know I'm in the minority, guys. Like a lot of people are really going hard after Robert Drysdale. Most people are kind of on the whole train of the corner should have stopped the fight. But to me, I would love to have him in my corner, man. That's for me, like the guy needed a mental push. I agree with everything he said, but for sure he did take quite a bit of damage in the second round. I just don't think he was as hurt badly as he was mentally broken. So as far as him getting cut goes, I think he'd be cut because Cole, to me, didn't look like he was ready for the UFC. And again, I did think he won the first round, but and it was short notice. But to me, there was a lot of flaws in this guy's game. His striking defense, he had no strike. First off, no offensive striking, no defensive striking. And once he couldn't get that submission, he just looked like he was lost. So I don't know. I mean, as far as setting a dangerous precedent goes, Cole, I mean, we've had one and done fighters many times in the UFC. We've had lots of guys fight once and not come back. So I don't know if the precedent's there as far as that goes. I know you're saying about short notice, but again, this guy just didn't look ready to me in the UFC. Kevin, Pettis quit in Stool versus Tony too, but Duke had a quote in place, so pretended he's hurt, broken hand. Yeah, I mean, Duke Rufus, yeah, but dude, Duke Rufus was also in the corner of a guy who died. Guy took a shitload of damage and died. So Duke Rufus, I love Duke. He's a great coach, but he was. I guess he learned from experience, man. I don't want to joke about that. There was I can't remember his name, Cole. You know what I'm talking about, Cole?
Yeah.
Poor guy. I think it was boxing or MMA. I can't remember now. Kickboxing, I think. Either way, the guy took a lot of blows and died in the ring, even though he didn't have to. Sad stuff. All right, let's just move on from this card. Let's go to Poirier and Hooker now. Man, great card. Definitely like this one as well. I don't think it's good as the last card, Cole, but definitely solid. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up as always. First fight of the night. And again, some of these fights, man, booked on short notice. Keep that in mind. Actually, I want to get to the last comments here before we end this podcast, this part of the podcast. Marcus Williams, great show. Thanks, Marcus. I am so baffled by Shane Burgos not attacking Emmett's left leg when he saw him tweak it in the first round. Poor fight IQ in Shane's corner should have emphasized attacking leg. Someone else said that in the chat earlier. I think it was John, but yeah, 100%. Cole, you have obviously thoughts on that.
I think there's some sort of respect between them where his knee's already obviously hurt, where a lot of guys don't want to do any more damage to people than they necessarily have to. Where I think Burgos might be one of those guys where he already saw his knee was hurt and he doesn't want to be the person to continue going after to hurt even more and then possibly end Emmett's career like that. So there is some respect between those guys. I know they have a lot of respect for each other, so maybe that's the reason, but I could have seen more leg kicks from Burgos for sure.
Yeah. All right. Last couple of comments here. Damon, as a corner, you're going to say everything you can to motivate and go out there, but you felt he was in danger. You have to step in and call it. And again, they did eventually call it. To me, I just don't see the controversy because it didn't go to the third round. If it did go to the third round, then it's controversial. Like if he's like, you have to fight and then didn't tell the coach, if no one said anything, to me, that's more controversial. But again, this fight was never going to go to the third because Rohskopf can just tap out. He can just. I've seen fights where there's a fight. I can't remember what it is, but it's almost like a joke. But the bell rings and then the guy taps the ground. And he's like, I don't want to fight. And so I've seen that happen before. Kevin, Duke let Felder keep going with the broken arm. David Pettis had a broken hand. So yeah, let's get to this card. Poirier Hooker. All right, Cole. Start with the main with the preliminary card. Work our way up to the main card. First fight on the prelims: Jordan Griffin against Yusuf Salal. And right now we have a close odds for sure. Salal minus 115, Griffin minus 105. Who's your pick?
I went with the slight underdog in Yusuf Salal. I was really impressed with him in his last fight against Austin Lingo. I was really high on Austin Lingo. His footwork looked really good. Jordan Griffin's a guy that I'm not too high on. Like, he lost Dan Egan, Chad Skelly, then submitted TJ Brown, but he was in trouble for Brown, and Brown didn't look that good. I think Salal's footwork is going to keep this fight standing. I don't think Griffin's going to take it down to the ground. And even if it goes down to the ground, Salal's really good on the ground. He has a lot of submission wins at LFA. He's fought he's headlined LFA shows. He has a lot of knockout power. I think Zalal, just his footwork, will be able to pick apart Griffin on the feet, and I think he's going to get a decision win here.
I like Zalal too. He's actually a slight favorite right now.
Oh, I know he was an underdog for a bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's been like kind of going back and forth. And again, short notice fight, man. So got to keep that in mind here. But I do favor Zalal. To me, just a little bit more solid. Now, Griffin has a lot of experience. So he's got 25 fights. So he's got a lot of experience. He's won in the UFC. He's got that experience in the octagon. He's got more fights now, 3 fights compared to 1 for Zalal. But I don't know, man. I was pretty impressed by Zalal in the last fight. I thought he looked really good. Having said that, he has lost a couple times, so it's not like this guy's unbeatable. Close fight, but I lean towards Zalal probably to win decision, although Griffin has been finished before. But he's pretty tough. All right, next fight we have. All right, this is an interesting one. Kay Hansen against Jinyu Frey, women's strawweight fight. Both women signed on very short notice. Kay Hansen, 20 years old, so very young, and then Jinyu Frey's 35, so kind of the opposite ends of their career, I guess, although Frey's still competitive, obviously. Close fight, Cole, for sure. Right now we got Kay Hansen minus 150, Frey plus 130. Who's your pick?
Yeah, this is a fight I would definitely not bet on either way. It's interesting. Like, Hansen obviously has a lot more of the upside. She's 20. She's done boxing bouts. She's been in Invicta for a while. Jinyu Frey is someone that if there was an atomweight division in the UFC, she would have been in the UFC years ago. She's one of the best atomweights in the world. Hanson's fought at 125 before, so she's obviously going to be bigger. Definitely interesting fight. I'll go with Hanson slightly, just with the size. I think the size is going to be a big advantage where Frey won't be able to get down on the ground. I just think on the feet, Hanson's the better striker. She's done boxing bouts. She's had some success in boxing where I think she could just piece up Frey. I don't think either of them are going to finish, so I'll have a slight lean towards Hanson, but I wouldn't bet this fight at all.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on this fight. First off, and I made this point on Twitter yesterday, like it's very rare for a young fighter to come to the UFC and have experience. I feel like this is too early for her, 20 years old. I don't see why they need to rush this girl into the UFC. I think she should have fought Invicta and get more seasoning. Having said that, she's obviously going to get more money in the UFC. I'm obviously happy about that. Anytime a fighter gets more money, it's always good. But I just don't think that this is a good idea to have her fight in the UFC at age 20, especially against Frey, who's veteran of the sport, a champion in Invicta. She's actually a pretty good fighter. She's 35 too. So she's pretty up there in age for a female strawweight. I think she might be the oldest fighter in the division now, but she's still very competitive, Cole. So, close fight. Definitely interesting. I know what you're saying about the size. Like, I feel like Hanson's going to be bigger too, but if you look at the stats, they're both 5'3", and Frey actually has a 2-inch reach advantage. So I don't really know how much bigger Hanson's going to be. I think this fight's a coin flip, man. So I'm going to go slightly with Frey, I guess, just because I think the experience in MMA, I think is going to help her here. She's a champion in the sport. She knows what it takes to win. I think she's just going to be a little bit too much for Hanson right now, but Hanson definitely could win. It's a coin flip fight. Honestly, I wouldn't lay money on this fight either way. It's kind of a weird matchup in my opinion, but the slight leans towards Frey as a slight underdog. All right, next up, we got a welterweight bout between Takashi Sato and Ramiz Brahimaj. I think I'm pronouncing that right. We got Sato minus 130, Brahimaj plus 110. Who's your pick?
I'm going with the underdog and Rami Brahimaj. He's up from Fortis, and I've heard a lot of good things. Jeff Neal's really praised him. He said he's going to be someone that's going to be a top 5 guy in the UFC. Anyone I talk to at Fortis, like Diego Ferreira, who's worked with them, says his ground game is no joke. He submits basically everyone. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys at Fortis, apparently. And we've seen Takashi Soto get submitted quite often. He's lost to Glacier Franco by submission. His two of his 3 losses are by submission. Last time out was submitted by Bilal Muhammad. I think Brahimaj will be able to take his fight down the ground and be able to choke out Sato.
Yeah, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. If Cole is, I guess you're probably pronouncing it right, Cole. Brahimaj, so I'll go with that. Yeah, close fight for sure. That's why the line's this close. Sato will go for the knockout, and then Brahimaj is probably going to go for a takedown here. I think he could probably get the fight to the ground, maybe get a submission. So I'll go with Brahimaj, but again, no confidence really in this pick. David says Frey's listed as atomweight. She is an atomweight, so she's, I guess, on paper smaller. But again, the stats say that they're the same size, as far as height and reach actually goes to Frey. But I guess strength wise, I guess Frey Hanson might be a little stronger. We'll see. That's an interesting fight, but again, I just don't think it's a good idea to sign young fighters for the UFC. All right, next up, catchweight bout, 150 pounds, Sean Woodson against Kyle Nelson. Cole. We've got Woodson, pretty big underdog here, minus 245. Nelson plus 205. Who's your pick?
I'm going the odds have it right. Sean Woodson should win this fight. He's a much better striker. Kyle Nelson is one of the few Canadians in the UFC. UFC has a lot of knockout power. We've seen him knock Poirier last time out. He's a guy that had success against Diego Ferreira in the first round at UFC 231 before he kind of gassed. But Sean Woodson, his fight against Kyle Bochniak really impressed me. He's a guy that had a good knock win on the Contender Series. It's just his size, 6'2", 79-inch reach. He's normally a featherweight. He's going to have an 8-inch reach advantage over Kyle Nelson. I just think that 8 inches is going to be huge, where he's just going to be able to piece up Nelson. Nelson, I think, is going to try to close the distance and use his wrestling, because we haven't seen Woodson really tested on the ground. But I think Woodson will just use his reach, use his size, and just piece up Nelson. I don't think he'll be able to finish him, so I have Woodson by decision.
Yeah, this is a fight that Woodson has to lose for sure. I think from what we've seen, the guy's pretty solid, Cole. The 2 wins, or Bochniak and then McKinney's in the Contender Series. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the odds maybe are a little bit too high. There's not a lot of respect here for Kyle Nelson, who, like you said, just is coming off a win over Paul Reyes. Paul Reyes is not really a UFC caliber guy. I got that. His chin is not great, but the 2 losses, Sales and Ferrer. I think the Sales ones he'd like to have back, but Ferrer, there's no shame in that fight. Was at that fight. I mean, the guy's got quite a bit of experience, man. I've known Kyle Nelson for years. He fought in the Score Fighting Series. I've seen his early fights in his career. He was at Substance Cage Combat. I've seen this guy fight in person multiple times. He's a pretty tough dude, man. He's got some good wins. Like Conor Worthy, Jonathan Brookins. So he's got a lot of experience, Cole. Again, I'm going to pick Sean Woodson. I think he can probably just outstrike Nelson and keep the distance and win a decision. But Nelson, you can't completely sleep on him, I don't think. All right, next up we got heavyweight bout between Philippe Lins and Tanner Boser. Right now we got pretty close odds for this one too. Cole, Lins -115, Boser -105. Who's your pick?
I'm leaning slight underdog to Tanner Boser. It's obviously a pick 'em fight for a reason with the slight lean towards Lins, but I just wasn't too impressed with Lins' fight against Andrei Arlovski. He looked good in PFL. I honestly think he should have stayed in PFL. Could have won another $1 million. And the UFC is not making that. A loss to Arlovski at this point in his career, it's definitely not good. Boser, he lost to Cyril Gahn, and it was by decision. He didn't get finished. He's a tough guy. He's tough to finish. He obviously has a lot of experience, fought in Russia, fought all around. His leg kicks are just something that's so important to him. Like, he hurts everyone's legs that he fights. Like, I just think he'll be able to piece up Lins' legs on the feet. I just think he's a slightly better striker. I think it's going to come down to the stand-up. I don't think it's going to go down the ground. And Boser, to me, is just, I think this is kind of two prospects. I think he's a bit better, more well-rounded, where I think Boser will do enough to get a decision win.
Yeah, another close fight for sure. It's heavyweight, so even more variance. I don't know if we'll see a knockout on this one. I think it's one of those heavyweight bouts that could go the distance, actually. Cool. Just check the odds on that. Fight going, yeah, even the over is actually juiced here. So the odds maker think it's going to go over. I think there's a good chance. Going to be a close fight, I think. The thing that I have to say about Lins, I wasn't impressed either against Arlovski, but it was after a year and a half layoff. Like, he just fought now, so he got his feet wet again. He got some experience in the UFC now. I think there's more upside here with Philippe Lins. I mean, the guy won $1 million in PFL. He's got some good wins, good experience. Boser's pretty solid too. He's tough too. That's the thing. Like, if Lins can't put him out, then Boser might be able to go the full 3 rounds and win. The last 2 rounds and win the decision. But I think the first round Lins will probably win if he's more aggressive. Close fight. Definitely close. I'm going to lean towards Philippe Lins a little bit here. First, maybe he'll get first and second round or something like that and win the decision. But again, I think he has got more upside to finish the fight. He's got more power, I think, than Tanner Boser as well. So Philippe Lins, slight lean, but not a lot of confidence in this one either. Next up, we got a flyweight bout, women's flyweight bout. Miranda Maverick, pretty good prospect here against Mara Romero Barella, who's like essentially a gatekeeper. Right now we have Maverick -300, Barella +250. Who's your pick?
You have to go Miranda Maverick here. This is a fight kind of tailor-made for Maverick to win. I'm surprised Romero Barella is still getting another fight. She's 0-3. She's lost 3 straight. 1 in 4 in her. Yeah, 1-4 in her last 5 fights. She's 2-4 in her UFC career. She's been finished last time against Courtney Casey. And then she was finished against Laura Murphy. Montana De La Rosa beat her. I just think on the ground, De La Rosa is going to have, or Maverick's going to have a lot of success. We saw Barella get taken down quite often. I think this is a fight where Maverick can look good in her UFC debut, and I think she can honestly get a finish as well.
Yeah, Maverick should win this fight. She's 22 compared to 20 for Hansen. To me, like, I think Hansen could use an extra 2 years in Victor. But anyways, yeah, I got to go with Maverick too, Cole. Man, she's looked good. She had the win over Pearl Gonzalez. That's a solid win for sure. Deanna Bennett, that's not a bad win either. So, again, she's had a couple losses, though, so she's not unbeatable. She can lose. I just haven't been impressed at all with Barella. I'm with you, Cole. Like, I'm surprised she's getting another shot. They're essentially using her as a gatekeeper now. Probably the last fight in her deal. They're just going to let her fight it out. She does have, I guess, some potential on the ground to finish the fight with submission or just wrestling, but too many holes in her game, man. I got to go with Miranda Maverick or Cole. I think she can get a finish, actually. I think she can get the submission. That'd be my pick for this fight. And Maverick inside distance is actually plus money, and I think that could actually be a winner there. All right, next up, we got the last fight in the prelims. I believe Luis Pena against Kama Worthy. Interesting fight here, Cole. Luis Pena -270, Worthy +230. Who's your pick?
I have to go Luis Pena, but at this point, I think you kind of miss betting this fight. I think it's gone too far in favor of Luis Pena. We saw Kama Worthy pull off a massive upset last when he knocked out Devontae Smith at UFC 241. That was a fight he took on short notice. Everyone expected Devontae Smith to win. He obviously has a lot of knock power, but he's lost quite often. Like, he's lost to Kyle Nelson by knockout, which doesn't look too good. But Luis Pena, I think, is just going to be able to pick and move, piece up Worthy. I don't think he'll be able to finish Worthy. Maybe on the ground, since we're in AK, maybe he'll have some more success because He obviously submitted Richie Smallman, tough, looked good against Matt Wyman on the ground. Maybe he'll do the same thing against Conor Worthy, but I just think Luis Pena is going to win this fight, probably by decision. Maybe might be able to finish Worthy, but at this point, I think the odds got way too far.
I don't like the odds either. Worthy just pulled off a huge upset, one of the biggest of the year last year over Devontae Smith. The guy's got a lot of experience and a lot of power. I mean, he's like going back to 2012, guys like Paul Felder. So like he's been around a while, man. He's got like again that win over Smith on his resume. He's got 6 straight wins, so he's got a lot of momentum coming in this fight. He's got a lot of confidence. Pena's got more experience though in the UFC now. Overall in the UFC, he is 4-2. He's got good wrestling, as we know. He's very tough, hard to finish. I got to go with Luis Pena, Cole. I think the takedowns, just the grappling, will be the advantage for him in this fight. I don't think he finishes the fight, probably goes decision. But, Conor Worthy, he has been knocked out a bunch of times, so it's possible he get touched here on the chin. I just think he's the one with more potential to finish, actually. But, yeah, I'll go with Luis Pena to win this fight, Cole. I just think the odds are a little bit too high because I think Worthy should get more respect after the fight with Devontae Smith last year. All right, getting to the main card, opening up the main card. Why is this opening up the main card? Heavyweight bout, Maurice Green against John Volante. And right now we have Maurice Green minus 235, Volante plus 195. Who's your pick, Cole?
Again, I don't like the odds, but I get why they're there. I think you kind of have to favor Maurice Green. He's obviously a lot bigger. Jean Volante is a light heavyweight moving up. Maurice Green's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. His kryptonite's kind of been in the ground. I don't think Volante's going to take it there. I think they're both going to stand. I think on the feet, Green's has the more power, has the reach, he's the better kickboxer. He grew up doing glory. And even if it goes down the ground, he has some success where he submitted Michel Baptiste, who's a Olympic wrestler on The Ultimate Fighter. I just think Volante, it's more of a fade on Volante. I just haven't been too impressed them lately. I think this is a fight where I think the UFC liked Green for some reason. I think they liked him on The Ultimate Fighter. I think they want to get him another win because if he loses, could be his UFC career is up. So I think Green's going to edge out a decision. I think Volante's going to be too tough to finish. But again, we've seen Green get finished back-to-back fights, so I wouldn't bet this fight at all.
Yeah, this fight's interesting. Like you said, Volante moving up to heavyweight. I don't know if this is a main card fight. I think it's more of a prelim. But yeah, I don't think it goes the distance. I think someone gets knocked out in this fight. But honestly, I'm going to go with Volante as an underdog. I just feel like the odds are way too far apart now. Green minus 235. I fail to see why he's such a big favorite coming off back-to-back stoppage losses. Overall, hasn't been that impressive. I know Volante hasn't either, and obviously he's moving up to light heavyweight for this fight, but I think that, he has fought a heavyweight before. Excuse me, he's moving up from light heavyweight, obviously, to heavyweight. He has fought heavyweight before, though. He's got some experience there. For sure, Green, I think, is going to be a little bit bigger, but I think Volante with the speed, and I think he's honestly a little bit tougher and more durable. So I like Volante a little bit in this fight. I wouldn't go crazy, obviously, but I think this is definitely a dog or pass situation, personally. All right, next up we have interesting fighter in the middleweight division, Cole. Brendan Allen against Kyle Daukaus. Interesting fight. Allen minus 300. Daukaus plus 250. Give me your pick.
Yeah, this is such an interesting fight. I was really hoping that Heinisch Allen fight would have stayed in. I would have picked Ian Heinisch to win that fight if it happened, but I think Allen wins this fight against Kyle Daukaus. Daukaus is taking this fight on short notice. He's obviously undefeated, has a lot of success in CFFC. He was on Contender Series, but got decision win, so he didn't get signed. He was the Cage Fury middleweight champion. Brendan Allen was I think he won the LFA. Yeah, he won the LFA championship. Submitted Canadian Aaron Jeffrey in the Contender Series. Submitted Kevin Holland, knocked out Tom Breeze. He finishes all his fights. Daukaus taking this on short notice. I don't really know where his cardio is going to be at. He wins a lot of his fights by submission. I just think Allen's going to be stronger. I think he's going to be better on the ground. I think Allen can either submit Daukaus or TKO him via ground and pound. So I think Allen wins this fight.
Yeah, I don't think the fight goes the distance either. I'm going to slightly lean towards Brendan. I'm not even slightly. I'm going to lean towards Brendan Allen. I think he wins the fight by finish. The short notice, like you said. But Daukaus is undefeated, man. And honestly, he's a guy that should have been signed, I think. All his wins except for the Contender Series one were by stoppage, Cole. So if this fight goes to the ground, I'm with you, Cole. I think Allen probably does have an advantage. But who knows? Maybe Daukaus can get him in that Darce. Because if you look at his resume, he's got 5 finishes by Darce choke and 3 more by rear naked choke. So this is a guy that has pretty good submissions, man. I would be a little bit worried about Allen getting tapped out, especially at the price, but I still think Allen wins. The experience in the UFC, I think, is really going to pay dividends. The guy, like you said, he finishes all his fights too. I don't see this fight going the distance, Cole. All right, time for the co-main event here. Interesting fight. Mike Perry against Mickey Gall. Wow, the line's pretty high now. Mike Perry minus 310. He opened at minus 150, so it's been ballooned up now to minus 310 and 250 plus 255 for Mickey Gall. Give me your pick, Cole.
I think the opening odds were too small for Mike Perry. I'm not surprised it got blown up to this. Like, Mickey Gall is a guy I'm not high on at all. Like, his last win against Salim Tuhara, he did not look good in that fight. Like, I think he kind of faded. Whenever he fights someone up in competition like a Diego Sanchez, like a Randy Brown, he loses. Mike Perry, I know everyone's pointing to that cut video. That's old. Like, even Dana White was saying it's not like, if you just look at his hair and then look at his hair in recent interviews, it's totally different. That I don't think that was real. Like, I don't think that was anything new. What you have to worry about Mike Perry is he obviously has a new girlfriend, and that's going to be his. He said that's going to be his only corner man, which is going to be weird. Who knows how that's going to go? But this is a complete fade on Mickey Gall. Mike Perry, although he's on a losing streak, look who he's fought: Jeff Neal, Vicente Luque split decision. A lot of people thought he won that fight, and then he beat Alex Oliveira. He's beat Paul Felder. Like, he has some good wins. I just think even if it goes down to the ground, I think Perry's going to be too strong for Gall. I don't think Gall will be able to submit Perry. I think Perry's going to be able to connect on Gall and TKO him.
Yeah, I gotta go with Mike Perry too, but I'm just not so high on Mike Perry, man. I wouldn't bet on this fight personally. No. I just think the odds are too high. Minus 310 really. Like, Mike Perry has a 6-6 record in the UFC, so he's not very reliable. Mickey Gall actually has a better record at 5-2, but I think the level of competition for sure definitely favors Mike Perry. But Mickey Gall is not like a complete scrub, man. He's fought some pretty good guys too and has some okay wins. Like, Sage Northcutt's not a terrible win. It's an okay win. George Sullivan is a veteran. It's not a bad win. But the Duhari fight, I wasn't too impressed there, Cole. Like you said, Perry's been fighting tougher guys. He has lost those. So, minus 310, nah. But he probably does win the fight. The whole corner thing's weird too. All right, and Kenshiro has Perry by TKO as well. Yeah, I think that's what happens. But again, are you going to lay the price? Maybe you are. I mean, fair enough. But let's go to the main event here, Cole. Oh, what a great fight. Dustin Poirier against Dan Hooker. Definitely my pick for fight of the night. Wow, this is going to be sick. Dustin Poirier minus 220, Dan Hooker plus 180. Give me your pick.
So, out of all the Vegas fights like they've done since the Apex, this is my favorite fight they've probably done. This is my favorite main event for sure. Like, I am so looking forward to this fight. I think the winner of this is right there for number one contender. If Gaethje beats Khabib, you can easily put one of them in for the belt. I think the odds kind of have it right. I lean towards Dustin Poirier. I just think on the feet, Poirier is the better striker. I think he's the more powerful striker. Even on the ground, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dustin Poirier wrestle. He has good jiu-jitsu. He never really uses it. And I think that's a real path to victory against Dan Hooker. We haven't seen Hooker really tested that much on the ground. He's obviously a kickboxer. That's where he's more comfortable striking. I think Poirier might wrestle, but I think even on the feet, just for what I've seen for Poirier, I don't think Hooker will be able to put him away. Poirier has a hell of a chin. Like, we saw what Gaethje landed against him. We saw what Alvarez landed against him. Even Max Holloway landed some good punches. Like, Poirier's a tough guy. His last loss against Khabib, and he was close to choking out Khabib. Like, that's why I think on the ground he has a huge advantage over Hooker. I think Poirier's going to win this fight, and I think he's even going to stop Dan Hooker, whether it be TKO or submission.
Yeah, I love this matchup. Amazing fight for sure. Dream fight for UFC fans. I'm with you, man. I like Dustin Poirier. I think he wins by knockout as well. I don't think the fight's going to go to 5 rounds. It's the over/under is actually at 4.5 rounds. I think that's being generous. They could have set it at 2.5. I think there's no way this fight's going the distance. Too much power, and to me, the two guys are, great strikers, but they're also kind of reckless too, and they can both get caught. We've seen both guys get KO'd before. Dustin Poirier is not invincible, man. He's been knocked out. Michael Johnson knocked him out. Conor McGregor knocked him out, so he can be finished. Dan Hooker, obviously, we've seen him get finished against Edson Barboza. But overall, I mean, he's very durable. So, interesting fight. Possibly Hooker could pull off the upset, but I think Poirier gets the job done, Cole. I think he's going to be able to knock out Dan Hooker, especially with Hooker coming off that fight with Felder. I took a lot of damage in that fight, and I think it's going to show up here. So, my pick's Dustin Poirier. I'd love to see him work the body with his punches, Cole, in this fight. We know Hooker can be knocked up to the body, so it'd be nice to see Poirier really get his striking on display. But he's got to keep his hands up too and his chin down because Dan Hooker is a guy who finishes a lot of fights. 17 wins by stoppage, a lot of knockouts. James Vick, Gilbert Burns. Yeah, he has that knockout win over Gilbert Burns, Cole. That looks really good right now. With Burns being so good. So great fight, love it, but got to go with Dustin Poirier. Comment. Kenshiro, Dustin will TKO, no head movement, give the decision his last fight, Hooker. Yeah, Hooker just keeps his head straight up, and I think Poirier gets the job done. But again, he's somehow this guy's able to survive a lot of fights, but I don't think it's going to happen here. I just think, man, Poirier is so precise, Cole. All right, let's get to some news, Cole. I already talked about the Rohskopf thing. We don't have to talk about it anymore. But Anthony Smith did come out, and he talked about it and criticized the corner. I mean, it feels like the pot calling the kettle black, right?
Yeah, it's really weird because what was it? A month ago? Not even a month. When was this fight? Like middle of May, like a month ago. That
Everything's face together these days.
a month ago, like
Yeah.
his corner was under fire for not stopping the fight. Now he's blaming a corner, and he basically defended his corner, basically saying like if they stopped the fight, I would have fired him. And now he's defending a corner for not stopping the fight. Like I don't get it at all.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Jim Miller, like I said, he did that interview at with BJ Penn. Would you like to see him fight 170 or 185, or just stick at 150? I didn't get.
Yeah, I talked to him before the fight, and he actually said something really interesting. Because I was saying, like, you fought a lot of guys. Like, is there anyone else, like, kind of on your bucket list who you want to fight? Like, he's fought the who's who. Like, he basically said, what I'd like is my 40th UFC fight, be at welterweight against Donald Cerrone, his 40th UFC fight, and see what happens. Maybe we ride off in the sunset together, tie for the record at 40. Because he even said, like, I don't really know if anyone's going to touch 40. Like, Neil Magny might. He has a lot of UFC fights, but no one coming up now is ever going to get to 40 UFC fights again, I don't think.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, hey, Burns, if he keeps fighting every month, I mean, he quick, right? But yeah, no, especially if he becomes a champ, he won't be fighting that often. So yeah, definitely interesting, Cole. Speaking about Burns actually next up on my list here. He wants Conor out of the rankings. I agree with him. If Conor's actually retired, why is he in the rankings now, right?
Yeah, because they took Cejudo out right away. Like, that's the thing. They're so inconsistent. Like they take when fighters switch weight classes, they take them out so quickly. But for Edgar and Aldo, for some reason, they have them in both divisions. Like, I don't think you should be ranked both divisions. Like, pick one you're fighting in.
Yeah, I know. All right, next on my list here, Dana White shot down a possible matchup between the guy you just mentioned, Cejudo and Volkanovski super fight. This is not going to happen. Too many guys at 145. Cejudo, it depends. Like, if he really hypes up his return, he could potentially jump in there. Like, Dominic Cruz just got a title shot, so anyone could come out of retirement and get a title shot, I think, if the conditions are right. But yeah, I feel like Dana's actually right about this. Like, there's too many guys, Cole, at 145 right now that are waiting in line.
Yeah, because I even talked to Volkanovski, and he was saying, like, he views Cejudo as a featherweight contender right now, but he didn't want that super fight because he said Cejudo was already holding up the flyweight, he was already holding up the bantamweight, and he doesn't want to fight Cejudo because then that holds up 3 men's weight classes. He says that's not fair, like, especially at featherweight. He says he has to beat Holloway, then he does another one where he defends against whoever looks the best out, like Sabine, Yair, Zombie, Ortega, Cater, and then he said maybe if I defend that, then maybe Cejudo's an option, but like he's not even thinking about Cejudo right now. He says like could be an option, but not until he defends his belt another 2-3 times.
Yeah. A couple of fight announcements, Cole. And by the way, if anyone has any last second questions, throw them in there now before me and Cole get out of here. But last couple of fight announcements here, Cole. We'll start with there's 2 fight announcements I want to get to, but Vicente Luque versus Randy Brown, great fight. Love this matchup. I think for Luque, I was surprised they gave him Jeff Neal. I think that was the fight everyone wanted to see. I know you've talked to Jeff. If you want to show me a label Jeff's situation, I know Marcus would want to know, but I still like this fight, though. But what are your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, I think he even called out Jeff Neal after the fight. And I was talking to Jeff Neal after that fight, and he said, yeah, I'd love that one. Like, he's had a hard time getting fights. Like, there's been quite a few guys that turn him down, like, quite a few guys high up in the rankings, some unranked guys, like Ponzinibbio and Chiesa. Neal's made that public on Twitter. There's been a lot of other guys that he's told me privately he's turned him down. No one wants to fight Jeff Neal because he's not highly ranked, and everyone knows he is really a top. Like, I think he's a top 5 talent at welterweight, but he just hasn't had that big win to put him there. And no one wants to risk fighting ahead of them, like a 7 or 8 guy, because Jeff Neal's that good. Like, he's in such a tough spot where no one wants to fight him, and he might have to fight down again.
Yeah, he is in a tough spot. I still like to see him fight Robbie Lawler. I think Santiago Ponzinibbio doesn't make sense too. I saw Bilal called out Santiago as well, so they got to get him back. He's actually not in the rankings anymore. Bilal Muhammad was like, oh, he's in the rankings still. He's not. He's actually been kicked out. But, Neil Magny's a guy that could fight Jeff Neal maybe at this point. I don't know. But either way, I do like this fight between Luque and Brown. Any thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, it's definitely a good fight. Like, early lean heavy towards Vicente Luque. But Randy Brown's dangerous. Like, he has a lot of power. So you never know. And we saw Luque get hurt against Nico Price. So,
yeah.
Luque, though, but, like, this fight is going to be fun. Luque is not in a boring fight.
And the last fight announcement here that I want to get to quickly, Mariya Agapova makes a quick turnaround against Shana Dobson. I guess the fighter she called out, but man, what the hell? Like, Dobson's, I think, 1-3 in the UFC, and Agapova is obviously like a really elite prospect. So what do you think?
Yeah, why the heck would this? Well, I don't. Even when she called her out, I messaged him like, "Why the hell would you call Dobson out?" She is way ahead of Shana Dobson. I think Shana Dobson is probably, if the UFC to rank every single fighter in that division, I think Shana Dobson would be the least ranked fighter. She's 0-3 in her last. She's lost 3 straight fights. Agapova looked good. She has a lot of hype behind her. This is I think I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the open odds are like -400, -500 for Agapova. Like I think this is an easy win for Agapova, and I think she probably finishes Dobson as well.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Just a couple comments here. If anyone has any last second, throw them in there. Marcus says, if Cejudo comes back in title fight, who do you think he would get? What do you get pay-per-view points? Doesn't Cejudo try to look like a good business move? The UFC definitely doesn't want to give pay-per-view points to anyone, but I think Cejudo would for sure. And then Brandon Parker here says, Rohskopf leaves Twitter, man, kid's going through it. I mean, he is. And, again, this is the repercussions about quitting in a fight, according to Robert Drysdale, this guy's regretting it already, So it's one of those things, man, you got the shot in the UFC you've been waiting your whole life for, and then it didn't go your way. But I feel like a lot of like Dana White had some weird comments about Cole, because when he talked to Brett Okamoto, it sounded like he's like, oh, I don't know if this kid's ready. Then later on, he was like, oh, there's no shame in quitting. So I don't know what happened like between those comments, but it's really up in the air if this guy fights again. But there were some rumors floating around he's going to announce his retirement. I saw that on I think Middle Easy, but I don't know if I trust their rumor that much. But they did report that as a rumor, so who knows? But I'd just like to see the kid go back to the regional scene, get some more experience. I didn't mention this earlier, but he came into the UFC with an injury, and the management's to blame too, Cole. Like, yes, Dana was saying this, his manager was blowing up my phone for a while now. Get this guy in the UFC, get him in, and then he comes in the UFC with an injury, a turf toe, which is not crazy like serious injury, but it's still an injury, and also a bad weight cut. This guy was not training, right? So to me, I understand why he took the fight and why his manager said, we're going to sign you up, but he would have been better off, I think, waiting for Contender Series, Cole. It's coming back in August. We didn't actually get a chance to mention that. They just announced, or not now, Nolan King reported it that's going to happen in August, starting August. So I think he would have been better off there personally. But yeah, I mean, for sure, again, this is the repercussions of it. If he wants to tap out and not fight, that's fine. That's his choice. However, there are repercussions to come with that. Any last thoughts on Rohskopf?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think he would have been better off fighting in the regional states this year and honestly waiting for the Contender Series next summer, like summer 2021. Have like 8 pro fights and then go in the Contender Series as your 9th pro fight, then your UFC debut as your 10th pro fight. I think that would have been a lot better for him.
I agree completely, Cole. There's no point of rushing fighters in with 5 fights, I don't think. Like it never really goes well. Now, got one last comment from Kenshiro, and I got to read this one. Max is a quitter. I kind of agree with that, but the second part I don't agree with, because if you actually read a story at the Body Lock, he says he's probably born middle-class family and easy life. Go read the story at the Body Lock. This kid did not grow up with easy life, dude. He grew up with a rough life, and it's a guy who's battled a lot of demons throughout his life. So I encourage you to read about his history. But again, I just feel like the UFC is the big league. Sometimes I think some people forget that, Cole. It's the big leagues. It's like if you go up to baseball and you strike out a few times and say, I don't want to hit anymore, like, to me it's kind of similar. I don't know. Like, and I also don't like the comparisons towards this and the Kelvin Gastelum, Nate Marquardt fight, or Chris Lieben, Uriah Hall, because those are veteran guys with like 40, 50 fights that were at the end of their career and got beaten down their last fight. It's a very different situation to go at 5 pro fights. But anyways, I've definitely said a lot about Max today and everything. So, Cole, anything you want to plug? And go ahead. Floor is yours.
Twitter at Shana91. This week I talked to Kyle Nelson, Maurice Green, Yusuf Salal, and then I have the fighter picks for the main event. Other than that, everything's always on my Twitter.
Good stuff, Cole. You guys can follow me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin, and of course I'm available at MMAOddsBreaker.com, home of the podcast, BJPenn.com, and MMAratings.net. Follow me on Twitter and send me any messages about anything you ever want to talk about regarding MMA. I'll be back Friday, probably 10 a.m. I believe, so I'll be back then. Cole, thanks for joining me today, and everyone, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys Friday. Bye.